What is it that we seek in this world? Is it not the ability to manifest our desires, to shape the very fabric of our reality according to our deepest wishes? Yet we often find ourselves perplexed, as though there is some secret path to creation that we have yet to discover. But the truth is, the path is not hidden, it lies within us, in the power of our own minds. The unseen world is not some distant, unreachable place. It is as close to us as our thoughts, as intimate as our feelings. What we call the unseen is simply that which has not yet been made visible to our senses, but it is just as real as what we can see, touch, and hear. This invisible world is not confined to fantasy or mere imagination, it is the realm of potential. It is the space where all things that have ever existed or will exist begin their journey. It is from this world that all creation flows into being. How often do we dismiss our imagination, thinking of it as a mere daydream disconnected from reality? But in truth, imagination is the very gateway to creation. It is not simply a tool of entertainment or distraction, it is the first form of existence. Everything that is seen in this physical world was once unseen. Every building, every invention, every work of art, and every great idea was first born in the mind of its creator. This is the law of creation. What is unseen in the mind eventually becomes seen in the physical world. But let us delve deeper into how this process unfolds. What truly governs this transformation? It is the law of consciousness, the understanding that our inner state of being is what determines our outer experience. We are not passive observers of our reality, we are active participants in its creation. Our thoughts, our beliefs, and our feelings are not mere reactions to the world, they are the very forces shaping it. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to create their reality with such ease, while others struggle endlessly to bring their desires into form? The secret lies in a principle often overlooked, the law of assumption. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to live in the certainty that what we desire is already ours, even though it has yet to appear. When you assume the feeling of having already received what you desire, you align yourself with the frequency of that desire, and like a magnet, it must come to you. This is not a passive waiting game. It requires an active faith in the unseen. To believe in something you cannot yet touch, see, or feel requires a deep and unshakable faith. And this faith is not blind, it is the faith that the unseen is not less real than what we can see with our eyes. The unseen world, though imperceptible to our physical senses, is the cause of the seen world. It is in this realm that all possibilities exist, and it is within this space that you hold the power to shape your future. But how do we move from the unseen to the seen? How do we make our desires real? The answer lies in vision. Not the kind of vision that you use to see with your eyes, but the inner vision, the ability to imagine and feel the reality you wish to create. The vision of your mind's eye is the blueprint for the physical world. When you see something clearly in your inner world, it must manifest in the outer world. What does this mean for you, for me, for all of us? It means that we must first cultivate the vision of the life we desire. We must live as though our desires have already materialized, and in doing so we set the stage for their physical appearance. The unseen world responds to your inner vision, it cannot do otherwise. What is the key to bringing this vision to life? It is the inner conviction that the unseen will indeed become seen. The faith that what you feel and imagine within you will ultimately take shape in the physical world. And once you embody this truth, you will see that the gap between the unseen and the seen begins to close. We must ask ourselves, what do we wish to see? What do we want to bring from the invisible realm into the visible? The power to create lies within each of us, and it is up to us to decide what we will bring forth. The unseen world is waiting to become the seen. It is waiting for you to claim it, to shape it, to embody it. Imagination is often thought of as a fleeting and trivial part of the human experience, something that comes and goes, often dismissed as mere daydreaming. However, this perception could not be further from the truth. Imagination is not just a mental distraction, it is the very foundation of all creation. It is through imagination that we first encounter the raw material from which all reality is shaped. Far beyond the realm of fanciful thoughts, imagination is the creative force that precedes all things that come into existence in the physical world. To understand the true power of imagination, one must begin by recognizing that everything we experience in the material world had its inception in the world of thought. All inventions, structures, systems, and works of art were once invisible and intangible ideas within someone's mind. They were born from the imagination before they ever took shape in the world we know. The process of creation always begins with a thought, a spark that ignites the potential for manifestation. If we look closely at the lives of the most influential thinkers, inventors, and leaders in history, we find that their journey began with imagination. They saw in their minds what did not yet exist, and through their persistent belief in its reality, brought it forth into the world. Imagination operates on the premise that nothing exists without first being imagined. It is the initial step in the process of creation, the seed that grows into a physical reality. The potential of imagination is vast because it is unrestricted by the physical laws that govern the material world. It has no limitations, no boundaries, and no constraints. It allows us to step beyond the ordinary and envision the extraordinary. By simply imagining a different outcome, a different world, or a different version of ourselves, we begin the process of transformation. Imagination opens the door to possibility, expanding the limits of what we believe to be achievable. It invites us to explore what might seem impossible, showing us that all things are possible if we can imagine them first. Through imagination, we have the ability to see the unseen. What the eye cannot yet behold, the mind can conceive. Imagination creates the blueprint of our desires before they are manifested into physical form. It is the bridge between what is desired and what is realized. The capacity to imagine a desired future is the first step toward making it a reality. When we allow ourselves to imagine freely, we are tapping into the very essence of creation. We are engaging with the invisible forces of the universe, aligning our minds with the energy that brings ideas into existence. Imagination is not a passive act, but a dynamic, intentional process. It is an act of focus and clarity, where one concentrates on the vision they wish to manifest. It requires the individual to not only think about their goals, but to visualize them with vivid detail, to feel the emotions associated with their fulfillment, and to connect with the deepest sense of desire that drives them. When imagination is used with purpose, it has the power to shape our world in ways that may seem magical or miraculous. By cultivating a strong imagination, we unlock our ability to create. We learn to see beyond what is immediately in front of us, allowing our minds to expand beyond the present circumstances. The more we practice using our imagination with intention, the more naturally it becomes a tool for transformation. It moves us beyond the limitations of the physical world and empowers us to bring into existence anything that we can conceive. Imagination is not just a tool, it is the key to unlocking our creative potential and transforming the unseen into the seen. At the heart of creation lies the profound understanding that our consciousness shapes everything around us. It is easy to think of the world as something external, something that happens to us. We often see ourselves as separate from the events unfolding in our lives, believing that we are mere observers, reacting to the circumstances that surround us. However, this viewpoint is far from the truth. The reality we experience is not a random series of events, it is a reflection of our consciousness, our beliefs, our assumptions, and our perceptions. Consciousness, in its simplest form, can be understood as the awareness of our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. It is the lens through which we view the world, and it shapes everything we encounter. What we experience is a direct result of the state of our consciousness. This means that our thoughts and beliefs about ourselves, about life, and about the world create the reality that we live in. Our consciousness, in essence, is the creative force behind every event, relationship, and situation in our lives. Every thought that arises in our mind is a seed, and the nature of that thought determines what will sprout and manifest in our external world. If we constantly think thoughts of lack, fear, or limitation, these will become the reality we experience. On the other hand, when we think thoughts of abundance, possibility, and success, our consciousness aligns with these states, and we begin to see them reflected in our lives. The connection between our inner world and outer circumstances is undeniable. What we hold in our consciousness is what we attract into our lives. This understanding goes beyond simple positive thinking or wishful imagining. It involves recognizing that the very nature of our consciousness is creative. It is not a passive state, it is active and dynamic, continually molding and shaping the world around us. The more we consciously direct our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, the more power we have over the circumstances of our lives. In other words, we are not victims of fate, we are the creators of our own reality. To grasp this concept fully, we must begin to shift our perception of the world. Instead of seeing ourselves as helpless participants in a world of random events, we must begin to see ourselves as the architects of our experience. This requires a deep shift in understanding the external world is not the source of our experiences, but rather our consciousness is the source of the external world. Our reality is not something separate from us, it is an extension of our inner state. This insight calls us to take full responsibility for the life we live. Every circumstance, every person we meet, every opportunity that presents itself is a direct result of the state of our consciousness. This understanding is liberating because it means we are not subject to external forces. Rather, we have the power to change our reality by changing our consciousness. By consciously altering our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, we begin to shift the very fabric of our existence. When we understand that our consciousness is the creative force of the universe, we realize that nothing is impossible. We can create new experiences, new opportunities, and new realities simply by changing the way we think, feel, and believe. The true power of creation lies within us, in our ability to shape our consciousness and in turn shape the world we live in. The law of assumption is one of the most powerful principles governing the transition from the unseen to the seen. It rests on the fundamental truth that what we assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, becomes our reality. This law suggests that we do not need to wait for the world around us to change before we can change our experience. Rather, we must change our assumptions about ourselves and the world to align with the reality we wish to see. At the heart of the law of assumption is the idea that belief is a creative force. Whatever we believe in our hearts and minds is what we will experience in the physical world. This principle asserts that it is not what we see that creates our reality, but what we assume and believe to be true. If we assume the feeling of having already received our desire, we set in motion a process that will eventually bring that desire into our physical experience. This concept is deeply rooted in the understanding that consciousness precedes form. Our assumptions act as the blueprint that determines the structure of our life. If you assume that success, love, health, or any other form of fulfillment is already yours, the reality will inevitably begin to mirror these assumptions. It is not a question of waiting for external circumstances to change first. It is about adopting the belief that your desired reality is already a fact in your life. This creates a vibrational match between your inner world and the external world, and that resonance compels the universe to bring your assumptions into manifestation. The law of assumption encourages us to live in the end result. The idea is that we should not focus on the process or the obstacles we might encounter, but on the end state of our desire being fulfilled. When we assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, we are aligning ourselves with that state of being. For example, if you desire financial abundance, assuming the feeling of already being wealthy, living in the state of prosperity, will create the necessary conditions for that abundance to manifest. It is not about the details of how it will come to pass, it is about embracing the state of having it now. One of the reasons this law is so effective is that our subconscious mind cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When we assume the feeling of having already achieved our goal, we send a signal to our subconscious mind that this is our reality. The subconscious then begins to reprogram itself to align with this assumption, and as a result, it influences our thoughts, decisions, and actions in a way that leads to the manifestation of our desires. Over time, the assumed belief becomes so ingrained in our consciousness that it naturally reflects in our external circumstances. The key to mastering the law of assumption is consistency. This is not about occasional or half-hearted belief, it is about persistently assuming the state of your desire as your present reality. Even in the face of contradicting external circumstances, the more firmly you assume your desired outcome, the more inevitable it becomes. Your assumptions begin to shape your thoughts, words, and actions, and they direct you toward opportunities, decisions, and experiences that align with your assumed reality. This law teaches us to stop doubting our ability to shape our lives. It challenges us to discard limiting beliefs and embrace the idea that the reality we desire is already ours, simply awaiting recognition. By assuming the feelings of the wish fulfilled, we accelerate the process of transformation, moving beyond the limitations of the physical world and creating a new world based on the power of our assumptions. Faith in the invisible is the cornerstone of creation, the essential force that connects our inner world to the outer reality we experience. Often, when people are faced with challenges or unfulfilled desires, they look to the physical world for evidence before believing in what is possible. However, true creation begins with a deep, unshakable faith in the unseen, in the invisible realm that exists beyond the reach of our senses. Faith in the invisible does not require you to see something physically present before believing in its existence. Rather, it is the trust that the unseen world is just as real, if not more so, than what we perceive with our eyes. The invisible is the realm of potential, where all things that are yet to be seen in the physical world already exist in their fullest form. It is in this realm that every possibility is housed, and it is from this space that all creation emerges. The first step in understanding faith in the invisible is to recognize that the unseen world is not a figment of imagination or a mere fantasy. It is not an abstract concept that can be ignored. It is the cause of everything that has ever manifested in the physical world. Just as the seed exists in the unseen before it grows into the tree, so too do all things that we desire first exist in the invisible realm, awaiting the moment when they are called into form. Faith in the invisible means that you believe in the potentiality of your desires even before they materialize. It is easy to have faith when you can see evidence in the physical world, when things are going well, when success is evident, when your desires are being met. But true faith requires believing when there is no physical evidence to support your belief. It means trusting that the invisible forces at work are shaping your reality, even when you cannot directly perceive them. This type of faith goes beyond mere wishful thinking. It is not about hoping that something will happen someday. It is about a deep conviction that your desires are already unfolding in the unseen, and that their physical manifestation is inevitable. Faith in the invisible is not passive, it is an active, dynamic force that requires alignment with the unseen to bring it into form. This faith is not dependent on external circumstances. Many people allow their beliefs to be shaped by what is happening around them. If they cannot see a way forward, they lose hope. But faith in the invisible asks you to rise above the circumstances of the moment and focus on the unseen reality you are creating. Your beliefs, thoughts, and feelings have a direct influence on the world around you, and when you hold steadfast to the faith that the invisible is becoming visible, you align yourself with the natural laws of creation. When we talk about faith in the invisible, it also means trusting in the process of transformation. Creation takes time, and the unseen world works in its own way, beyond our ability to always perceive it. The transformation from the unseen to the seen is not always instantaneous. It is a process, sometimes subtle, sometimes profound. But regardless of how quickly or slowly it appears, faith holds the key to seeing it through. Just as a farmer does not dig up his seeds every day to see if they are growing, so too must we trust that the unseen work is being done, even when the results are not immediately visible. Faith in the invisible is also the key to overcoming doubt. Doubt is the opposite of faith, and when we give in to doubt, we disconnect ourselves from the unseen realm. Doubt is rooted in fear and uncertainty, while faith is rooted in trust and conviction. It is easy to doubt when things are not going as planned, but the practice of holding fast to faith, especially when circumstances seem bleak, will allow you to tap into the power of the unseen world. It is in these moments that faith is most powerful, for it is in the darkest of times that the unseen is most alive, working silently, preparing the way for the manifestation of your desires. Faith in the invisible is not merely a passive belief in something abstract. It is the recognition that all things come from the unseen, and that by believing in this truth, we set in motion the creation of our desires. It is about trusting the process, having confidence in the invisible forces at work, and knowing that nothing in the world is beyond your reach when you have faith in the invisible. Through this faith, the invisible realm is drawn closer to the physical world, bridging the gap between what is imagined and what is real. The transformative power of vision is the core mechanism through which the unseen becomes seen. Vision, in this context, refers not merely to the act of perceiving with our physical eyes, but to a deeper, more profound process of seeing with the mind's eye, the ability to project into the future or imagine scenarios that have yet to materialize. It is through vision that we give form to the invisible, shaping the formless potential of our desires into tangible outcomes. What we visualize and imagine in our minds becomes the seed from which all manifestations grow. This is why vision is not a passive act of daydreaming or idle fantasy. It is an active, conscious creation of what we intend to bring into existence. To envision something is to declare its future reality. When we hold a clear vision in our minds, we are setting in motion the events, the circumstances, and the people that will make that vision a reality. The mind cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically real, and thus it accepts the vision as truth, shaping our perception and experience accordingly. Vision is a powerful tool because it aligns our thoughts, emotions, and actions toward a singular goal. When we cultivate a strong and vivid vision of our desired future, we begin to feel it as if it has already happened. This feeling, this emotional connection to the envisioned reality, is what propels us forward, pulling us toward the physical manifestation of our desire. Without vision, we are like ships lost at sea, drifting aimlessly without a destination. With vision, we become like captains steering our ships through a specific course, knowing exactly where we are headed and what we must do to arrive there. The clarity of vision is crucial. When the vision is fuzzy or unclear, it becomes difficult to align our energies and actions toward its realization. It is important to visualize not just the end result, but also the journey. Imagine the steps, the details, and the emotions associated with bringing that vision into being. This kind of clarity acts as a blueprint for the universe, guiding the unseen forces that govern creation to work in your favor. When your vision is focused and detailed, it sends a powerful signal to your subconscious mind, which then directs your thoughts and behaviors in a way that naturally aligns with your desires. Vision works as a tool for overcoming doubt and uncertainty. In moments of struggle or challenge, it is easy to lose sight of the larger picture. But when you are anchored in your vision, when it is deeply etched in your mind and heart, it becomes a constant reminder of what is possible. Vision helps you navigate obstacles by allowing you to focus on the outcome, rather than the challenges. It keeps you grounded in the belief that the unseen world is not only possible, but it is inevitable. The transformative power of vision also extends beyond just material outcomes. It can reshape your entire worldview, transforming the way you see yourself and your place in the world. A strong vision creates a sense of purpose and direction, infusing your life with meaning and motivation. It connects you to something greater than yourself, a sense of destiny or purpose that transcends the everyday struggles. Through this transformation of the mind, vision becomes the very catalyst that shifts your reality, allowing you to experience life in a more profound and empowered way. To truly harness the power of vision, you must believe that what you see in your mind can and will be made manifest. This belief turns vision into a living, breathing force that shapes your thoughts, your actions, and the world around you. Vision, when fueled by belief and clarity, becomes the bridge between the unseen and the seen.